Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Let's do a quick no-nonsense breakdown of the timing that we should expect for the next rounds of stimulus, including Trump's latest memoranda and executive actions. So we're going to talk about unemployment insurance, the payroll tax cut, these stimulus checks, eviction and foreclosure ban, forbearance, and more. I'm also going to clear up some rumors and myths that have been floating around, as well as clarify some other issues that have been coming up. Let's get started. First, the YouTube course does launch tomorrow, so make sure to use that coupon code and join. The pre-sale price does end tomorrow. All right, first, enhanced unemployment insurance. Donald Trump just issued a memorandum requiring states to partner in and administer the $400 enhanced unemployment boost. However, many states are already indicating that they don't know that this is possible. Andrew Cuomo of New York says it's not possible. The governor of Ohio says he doesn't know if it's possible. And many other governors are throwing up their hands confused as to how they're going to implement this and how they're going to get the money for this. So it's going to be a matter of weeks before governors themselves figure out how they can incorporate this new recommendation from the Trump administration. This means that the next rounds of unemployment checks may not start arriving until late August. And in fact, this aligns with what Larry Kudlow says, the director of the NEC, who seems to be the person hanging out on the White House lawn, giving interviews regularly about what Donald Trump is up to all the time. We kind of named the coupon code after him, right? Larry. Anyway, he says it could take, quote, a few weeks for the new unemployment checks to arrive. Now, the unemployment checks will be retroactive to the week ending August 1st. So let's take a quick look here at a calendar and try to understand what this might mean. So the week ending August 1st is actually right over here. It's July 26th to the week ending the 1st. The budget, or the money available for this program, is enough for about 5 weeks worth of pay. So let's take a highlighter here, and if we get 5 weeks worth of unemployment pay, that's going to be week 1, then we're going to have week 2, we'll have week 3, we'll have week 4 right here, we'll have week 5. So there's only about 5 weeks worth of money available in this program, and today is August 9th, which we're expecting it to take a few weeks before these checks actually start rolling out. So it's quite possible that you might actually only get 1 or possibly 2 checks. That is, if you get your check the week of the 23rd, you would get your pay for that week and your retroactive 4 weeks of boost pay. Or if you get your check the week of the 30th, it's possible that you would only get 1 check, and that would be retroactive money for the last 5 weeks, which would go from the week ending August 29th to the week ending August 1st. Those are 5 weeks. That's all there is money for. Unless some new money somehow comes, printing out of a money printer and gets authorized for this, it doesn't look like this program is going to get extended through October, November, December, September. I even missed September. We got a whole 4 more months here. I mean, this is just, we only have enough money in the coffers right now to cover August. So that's the expectation right now, the way things are now for unemployment pay. Now let's discuss evictions and foreclosures, then we'll talk about stimulus checks. Donald Trump's memorandum on evictions and foreclosures simply asks the CDC and Health and Human Services Department to consider any measures to temporarily halt residential evictions as are necessary to prevent the spread of COVID. Meaning, if they don't think they need to do anything to prevent the spread of COVID, there really is no eviction ban. There is no foreclosure ban. An attorney could argue, hey, we don't have COVID in this town, we still want to evict our tenant. This memorandum would not protect a tenant and would not protect a homeowner from foreclosure unless the CDC and HHS determine that it is necessary to halt evictions and foreclosures to prevent the spread of COVID. That's it. The memorandum then goes on and instructs various different departments in the government to identify whether there are any funds available to help struggling tenants or owners who are financially impacted by COVID. This means there really isn't any timing to discuss for evictions and foreclosures. There is no eviction ban extension. There is no foreclosure extension. There's just a recommendation that maybe we'll individually ban some evictions and foreclosures if it helps us stop the spread of COVID, and maybe we'll look to see if there's any money available to help people with. That's all we have. So for right now, there's no timing to report on the eviction ban or foreclosure ban. However, you can still get mortgage forbearance. Make sure to watch my video. I'll link it up here and down below on mortgage forbearance. Next, stimulus checks. Here's the thing. Congress usually needs about 1 week to come up with a bill. That is, they come up with an agreement. Then it usually takes about a week for the Congressional Budget Office to do their job and the House and Senate to vote on something and counteroffer that bill and make amendments, and then they finally send it to the president. So usually the legislative process takes about 2 weeks. After about 2 weeks, if a bill passes that authorizes stimulus checks, it would probably take about 1 week to get the first round of 50 million checks distributed by direct deposit. This means we are 3 weeks away from seeing a potential stimulus check, which both sides are okay with. Both sides, Republicans and Democrats, have said, let's do another $1,200 stimulus check. But it's just held up in the process right now. So we are at least 3 weeks away from Congress going back to work to actually seeing checks getting deposited. Best case scenario. Today is August 9th. And right now, Congress is technically on recess until September 8th, which means if they don't go back to work until September 8th, we probably won't see checks until the end of September, if we even see them at all. However, if Congress goes back to work over the next couple weeks as these sort of memorandum, get discussed and Congress decides, you know what, we really need to go back to work because schools need funding, the CDC needs funding, the PPP needs funding, the EIDL grants need funding, and Congress says, that's it, we got to put something together, let's finally make an agreement, then again, 3 weeks from the day that happens to checks seems to be a realistic expectation. Let's go ahead and jump back on over to the calendars to see what that looks like. We'll go ahead and erase what we had here. There we go. We'll start fresh. So if today is August 9th and Congress decides, you know what, we're going to go back to work on August 19th because, the political fallout is so crazy that they didn't do anything. Well, it's going to be at least a week before they actually reach an agreement. It'll probably take another week before they pass a bill. So realistically, we're going to jump on over here to September, and maybe we'll see a bill get passed by September 2nd. And that would mean that Trump might be able to sign something by the 3rd or the 4th of September if they cancel recess. And that would mean checks might start flowing as soon as September 10th. Hey, that's my dad's birthday. September 11th. Who knows? Maybe they'll call them freedom checks. I don't know. They politically always come up with interesting names for things. Or we'll see the checks the week of the 14th to 18th. That is, if Congress gets back to work this upcoming week. If they stay at home and they don't go back to work until September 8th, then we realistically might not see a bill agreement get discussed until somewhere around this range here, the 9th through the 18th. Which let's say they agree on something and pass something by the 16th to 22nd. Let's add a week to that. Maybe we'll see checks the end of September, sometime around those last 7 days in September. So realistically, we got to get Congress back to work. Until Congress goes back to work, that 3-week timer isn't really starting. Now, what about the timing for the payroll tax cut? First, everybody's waiting on guidance from the Treasury right now. Right now, there's actually a possibility that the payroll tax cut will only cut Social Security and not the Medicare portion of the payroll taxes like Donald Trump and Larry Kudlow and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin have all said it would do. That's because the president's memorandum actually only refers to subsection 3101A of the tax code. Well, when you look at A refers to the 6.2% for Social Security, but B refers to the 1.45% for Medicare. This means that while we keep hearing that the payroll tax cut is going to be 7.65%, the way the memorandum was currently drafted, which might be a mistake, would actually only be a 6.2% cut. Now, obviously, they could fix that. They could just add the A and B, and then we'd have the 7.65%. But even still, even if they end up fixing that, how long is it going to be until we actually see money in our bank accounts? Most employers are going to wait for two things to start giving people more money via this payroll tax deferral. One, they're probably going to want guidance from the Treasury on how to implement this in the first place. That's expected to come out this week or next week, and then businesses have to adjust. That entire process is expected to take 2 to 3 weeks, which means we probably won't see people start taking home payroll tax deferrals until the end of this month. Technically, if you're a small business, you're a small business owner, technically you could start deferring your payroll taxes right away for your employees. However, you run the risk of the payroll tax not getting forgiven and then having to somehow take that back from your employees to pay it. See, here's the thing. The employer is federally required to collect payroll taxes and to pay them to the government. This means the burden is on the employers to take the money and decide when to take the money. And if employers are uncertain, they might just throw their hands up and go, look, this is way too blurry. We have no idea what's going on yet. We're just gonna wait a few weeks. So realistically, I don't expect most companies to start cutting any kind of payroll taxes or giving their employees more money, more take-home money, at least for 2 to 3 weeks. They gotta fix the problems. There are problems in the text. There's a lack of guidance from the Treasury Department. We've gotta wait for more information. Once we have more of that information, there will be a portion of businesses that will still wait to determine, okay, well, now we got guidance. It's the full 7.65% or it's the 6.25%. Great. Now we got guidance, but is it going to get forgiven or not? Now, there's a rumor floating around that this money will only be forgiven if Trump is reelected. That's not what Donald Trump said. Trump actually said that he would immediately work on forgiving the deferred amounts, but that might require Congress to act. What he said regarding his election was not about this deferral period from September 1st through the end of the year. Donald Trump's actually referring to January and after when he talks about his election. He says if he's reelected, then for 2021, he might completely eliminate this payroll tax. So if you hear any kind of rumor that, oh, great, Trump's using it as an election ploy and the money's only going to get forgiven if we vote for him and it creates this leverage, well, if I don't vote for Trump, I'm basically going to get taxed. That's not what Donald Trump said. And I'm not trying to take any sides. It's just not what he said. And I think it would be unfair to characterize it that way because it's not what was said and it wasn't what was meant. And you could watch the press conference, you'll see it yourself, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, here are the real executive orders, in my opinion, that we need to see right away. Number one, how about an executive order ending recess during a national emergency? This should be a no-brainer. The second thing, how about an executive order locking senators and representatives in Congress until they come up with a solution for 8 hours a day? They got to figure it out together. Just lock them in a room like jurors in a room and make them come up with a solution. Then I think we'd actually get some progress. Those would be some executive orders I think we could all stand behind. All right, so there you have an overview of the timing to expect for all this new talk on new potential stimulus. Anything else that you haven't heard yet, like the capital gains carrot that was floated or the other information on possibly PPP or EIDL, all of that is even more up in the air compared to what we just heard. Hopefully this helps give you a little bit more guidance and clarity. I hope this helps you out. If you like this information, please consider sharing it, consider subscribing to the channel, and maybe even consider checking out those links below to get 2 free stocks with Webull. Deposit $100, get 2 free stocks, sign up for life insurance in as little as 5 minutes, and get that YouTube course on pre-sale. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.